Our program is designed to develop and build knowledge in communication theory and application for organizational practitioners and leaders. And I just want to emphasize, this is an academic, rigorous program. So therefore, theory is definitely at the center of how we approach communication. Oftentimes, I will get feedback or comments from people that are interested in the program, thinking that the program is more of a skills-based, like teaching people how to communicate effectively or better, but that is not the focus of this program. This program is a theory application-based, and how we look at it in terms of communication and how communication develops and leads organizations. So this program is ideal for anyone who is working in a position where they would like to understand how communication impacts functions, processes, how communication impacts leadership and culture, and also a practitioner who is interested in using these skills to better develop as a leader, communicating within an organization, or in terms of how to develop the organization. So this is definitely a theory-based program. However, we also want to know how are you going to apply it. So we use a lot of application design in terms of our course and the coursework that the students complete. So that's a little bit about our program. Our typical students, they practically, majority of them, they're full-time working professionals. The average age is around 34 to 35. A lot of our students have been out of school on an average of 7 to 10 years, and which is really good because it allows them and gives them experience so that they can really do the theoretical, understand the theoretical, and be able to apply it. We have students all over, representing states all over the United States, from all the way from west to east. So we're excited about that we get to serve such a diverse group of students. And they work in various professions, from corporate to engineering to hospitality to military. Our students come from a range of different backgrounds and professions. So the student body is in our program. We have about 50 students right now. This program is about a little bit over a year old. So we're new. As we move on, we're growing, and we are also modifying to make sure that we can fit and give our students what they need. So that's a typical student as it relates to the online program. All of our courses are taught by University of Alabama faculty in the Department of Communication Studies. This is a 30-credit-hour Master's in Communication Studies degree program. Students always want to know, well, how long is it going to take me? How long is it going to take me? If you take 2 classes, and that's what we recommend for students that are working full-time, every semester, it should probably take you about 2 years to finish. Right now, we have some rolling admission deadlines and priority dates, but I will talk about that a little later. We accept students year-round. However, we do have some dates set in place as like December the 1st for the fall, and May 1st for the spring, and August the 1st for the summer. We would prefer that students submit and have all of their documents in by those dates. So let me repeat that again. That's December the 1st if you're looking to enter in the spring. If you're looking to enter into our program for the summer, we would require that you have all of your documents in by May 1st. And if you're looking to enter in the fall, we would like students to have everything in by August the 1st. Those are the priority deadlines. Now, we encourage you to submit your application and your materials, your admission required materials earlier than that, so you can so we can review and you can get some type of reply back to us whether or not you're accepted or not. So those are our final deadlines, but we accept students throughout the year. All of our coursework is asynchronous. We have a couple of, maybe like 2 classes where a professor may ask for students to log in maybe twice throughout the course of the course, but 98% of our courses are asynchronous courses. So you have the flexibility to do work at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It is up to you in terms of how you would like to plan your schedule. We offer applied experience with a professional project. Currently, that's our COM 598 course. I actually serve as the director of that course. I'm working with a number of different students who are actually have the opportunity to look at issues or concerns and challenges within organizations and apply what they have learned in our program. And that's one of the very great things about this program, that is not totally theoretical, but it is also application, and students have the opportunity to do these different types of assignments in their courses. Also, we have a capstone project, and it's a culminating experience that students at the end, where they pull together everything that they've learned and they kind of assess it and analyze it. And that is the last requirement for the project, for the program to graduate. And that's we call it our capstone portfolio experience. And we have the professional project experience as well. So I know that it says capstone project on the slide, but there should be capstone portfolio, and then the applied project is our professional project experience. So those are some neat things about our program. Totally online. You get to apply what you learn in our program to everyday experiences within organizations. And at the end, you have an opportunity to pull it all together and assess it and analyze it as you move towards graduation. So those are some key highlights in terms of our program format. Now, this slide pretty much is a listing of all of the courses that we teach. And if you look at how our courses are designed, we have courses that cover communication, the theoretical courses like rhetoric and political discourse, interpersonal, relational communication, communication and culture, technology, culture and human communication, communication and diversity, human communication theory. So these are what we consider our core courses that really focus on the theoretical part of communication studies and understanding communication and how it impacts all areas of human communication, from interpersonal all the way to technology. However, in this program, we have some specialization courses that really kind of focuses on the area of organizational leadership. Students will be able to take courses in conflict and negotiation and how you use communication to impact and be much more successful in how you navigate and how you manage conflict in organizations. We have a course that I'm currently teaching this semester on group leadership, where we kind of really look at group functioning. Looking at groups in its totality in terms of how communication impacts functions, how it impacts processes, leadership, innovation. We kind of look at what has happened theoretically over the last 50 years in terms of what we know about groups and how they function. And this is very important, course, because we all find ourselves working in small groups and teams throughout our career. And to be able to do that much better and be much more of a competent team player and communication practitioner, this is also a good course. We have a seminar in organizational communication where we look at the organization and how communication is managed and negotiated within those environments, looking at things like network, looking at socialization, looking at interpersonal relationship, leader-member dynamics within organizational structures. And so that is one of our specialization courses. And then we also teach a course in communication assessment and intervention. And this gives students an opportunity to understand what consultants do when they go into organizations in terms of how to conduct an assessment, how to go in and do an intervention properly, looking at method and methodology, also understanding things that are related to how do you, I always say, tell a CEO its baby is ugly, or, you know, that's kind of difficult. And understanding not only the theoretical, but also how you effectively do that as a facilitator. So those are our specialization courses. And then we also have method courses. We teach students how to do research methods, how to determine what the best method it is to examine and explore the form of communication that you're looking at. And so I just want to stress that our courses are all focused on communication. We're not psychology, not business. We are looking at communication through understanding how organizations function in relationship also to leadership. So this is a very theoretical, however, students are able to apply what they learn through different course projects and practicums that we've designed for this particular program. So that's just giving you an overview of how our courses are designed and what the intent is for a student in this program. And also what we want them to know when they leave. What are the core competencies of communication and leadership? Our admissions, we require that students have an overall, for the undergraduate, 3.0 or higher for the last 60 hours in a degree program, or 3.0 if they've completed a graduate degree program. Oftentimes I get this question pretty much weekly where students are writing and saying, well, I have above a 3.0 or I have a master's degree. Do I have to take any of the standardized tests? Yes, you do. We do not waive any of our requirements based upon GPA, or if you've been working 10 or 15 years. The two standardized tests that we require for this program is the GRE or the MAT, which is the Miller's Analogy examination. And oftentimes students that are interested or have the background that we're looking for, they do pretty much better on the MAT. However, we take GRE just as long as those test scores are not more than 5 years old. So we do not waive any of our requirements based upon GPA or professional experience or if you have a graduate degree. So those are some of our admissions requirements. I think the next slide is going to talk about. Is that it?
Yes, Dr. Harris. Next slide will discuss about all the services that distance learning students have, which is going to be the same resources available to Canvas students will also be the same with our distance learning students. Our distance learning students are eligible to apply for federal financial aid. Students eligible for military educational assistance may use their educational benefits here at the University of Alabama. Distant learners also have the access to all university library resources, and that include access to scholarly databases, assistance with writing and citations, tools and tips for research, and the interlibrary loan program. There is also a dedicated distant learning librarian on staff to assist our students as they navigate through the library resources. The writing centers offer online assistance and tutoring to students who are unable to visit the campus location. The Center for Academic Success provides individualized tutorings, study skills workshops, and exam reviews through web-based methods to meet the needs of distant learning students. We also offer Blackboard tutorials to students who have never taken online courses before. For our distant learning students, you will pay a flat hourly tuition rate regardless of residency, and this rate does not include any applicable course fee or books. Students also have the option to purchase access to the Students Health Center and the Student Recreation Center. Unfortunately, you must be enrolled as a campus student in order to be eligible for athletic tickets. The College Continuing Studies offers scholarships to students who are enrolled in degree program facilitated through continuing studies. You must be currently admitted or accepted for admission in order to apply. Applications are accepted year-round, and a scholarship we reward scholarship each semester. Now, I would like to share some information about the University of Alabama and the College of Communication and Information Sciences. The university was established in 1831 as the state's first public college. Approximately 38,000 students attended UA, with about 5,500 of those students enrolled in graduate programs, and about 4,800 enrolled in distant learning programs. We are a reputable and accredited institution. The College of Communication and Information Sciences was established in 1973, and most faculty offices and classrooms are now located in Reese's Pfeiffer Hall. College of Communication and Information Sciences consists of 4 departments, and this particular degree program is housed in the Communication Studies Department. Within this college, there are over 500 students enrolled in 9 undergraduate and graduate degree programs. And like I mentioned earlier, in the next few days, you will receive an email with information that includes important website addresses and contact information, and that will include my contact information, as well as Dr. Harris' contact information, and the link to the recorded session. And that will conclude our presentation. Now we'd like to open up for questions, and I will read out the questions, and I will ask Dr. Harris to help me with answering those questions.
Okay, great. I think I jumped the gun, saying I apologize.
You're fine. You're fine. So, first questions we have, does this program accept transfer hours, and if so, how many will this program accept? Dr. Harris?
Our program will substitute or waiver if you have taken courses. Sometimes we get students that have been in communication programs that have taken methods courses, or maybe they've taken an ORCOM theory course. Those courses we will accept. but we do not accept courses that are outside of what we offer in terms of our courses. So I always say, students, if you look at and read the description of the courses that we offer, and if you think that you've taken a course, we ask you to look, and if you find that those courses overlap in terms of content and what they're teaching, then you would submit that proposal to me along with course syllabus, and I will review it and also share it with the committee, and we will make a decision whether or not we will accept that for course credit towards the degree. I hope I answered that clearly.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You did. Thank you, Dr. Harris. And next question we have, just to make sure I understand, the capstone portfolio is analysis of the coursework incorporating the results of the professional experience project. Is that correct?
Repeat that again.
I do apologize. So the question is, just to make sure I understand, the capstone portfolio is an analysis of the coursework incorporating the results of the professional experience project.
Okay. There are two different kind of capstone experiences. One is the professional project, where you actually identify a particular project that you would like to within an organization, where you actually implement it or analyze it in a professional setting, using and applying what you've learned in different courses. You work directly with a faculty advisor. Currently I'm working with all of the students that are working on their professional projects at this moment. Most of them are doing things that within their own professional environment. However, that is not a requirement. And so that is the professional project. The capstone portfolio is where you look at everything that you've done in the program in terms of your coursework, and you do it's an analysis, and you pull it all together, and you identify how these courses and the coursework, how it has prepared you for some of the work that you want to do and how you want to use this degree. So that is the capstone portfolio that you pull together. It's a reflection of all the work that you've done. You get to, we require students to select one major project in each course and submit it as a part of the portfolio. It becomes a part of our digital archive. And we also use that information as for analysis and program evaluation as we're moving forward in developing and making our program even stronger than it is at this present time. And then, so the professional project is where you actually identify a project or a challenge or some type of issue within an organizational setting, and you have the opportunity of examining that from whatever your own interest is. And then the other is the capstone portfolio, where you're bringing everything that you've done in the program together and analyzing it as you move forward as a graduate.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, can we specialize in anything related to behavioral studies?
Not for the online program. Our online program is very prescriptive, as you can see. We have required courses. We encourage students, if they want to, take other courses in other areas, but they will not go towards graduation. The courses that we've identified are the only courses that will meet our requirements at this time to be able to graduate from our program with a Master of Arts in Communication with the emphasis in organizational leadership.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next we have, is professional experience within the field of communication giving consideration towards the completion of the program?
Well, yes, COM 598, that's the professional project component. That is a requirement for the program. That is requirement at this time. We are thinking about, and this is just, it hasn't been implemented, but we're thinking about also giving students the option to take comprehensive examinations in place of the professional project. Because one of the things I'm learning is that students with working full-time, the professional project is time intensive, and it does take a lot of time. Typically, students are taking about 2 semesters to complete that project. And so we are also looking at some other options such as comprehensive examination. And we'll know more about that in the spring semester if the committee decides on that. So we are looking at some other options.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, if your undergraduate degree was not in communication, are there any prerequisites class required to be complete before applying?
No, we don't have any prerequisites. It is not a requirement that you have an undergraduate degree in communication, and there are no prerequisites at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And we just, one more time, just want to remind, we will also send you information about the program, link to the recorded session, and also link to the website with important deadline dates. So you will have it on hand. So you'll be able to review which is the priority deadline for Pacific semester. Next question I have, I applied in mid-August, but I have not received any feedback. I think the system may have defaulted to fall of 17 versus spring of 18. Could that be the reason? And if so, how should I proceed? I will reach out to you after our session in regard to your application, and I will also provide you with more information what will be the next step that you need to do in order to complete your application. Next question I have, I took the MAT, the Miller Analogy test on Saturday and have my raw score. How do I know if I fell into the accepted percentile? Dr. Harris?
I believe that for the Miller's analogies, it is 400 for the 50% percentile.
Thank you, Dr. Harris.
404, I believe that is the number.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And again, for the admission requirements, students are required to have, for the GPA, students are required to have an overall 3.0 or 3.0 for the last 60 credit hours. If you have a master's degree already, you have to have a 3.0 on that master degree. And for the test score, that will be a 300 on the GRE and a 50th percentile on the Miller Analogy test, the MAT.
There's something missing from the slides. We also ask students to submit a statement of purpose. In that statement of purpose, we want to know, why are you interested in our program? What do you want to do with this degree? It gives us an understanding of, is this a good program for you based upon what you are seeking, what your needs are. And we also ask for references. We don't ask for reference letters. Sometimes students submit letters, but we do ask for, I believe it's 3 references, and you will provide their name and contact information. So also we do require that you send in a statement of purpose so we can get a feel and understanding of what your interests are and how you would like to use this degree as you move forward in your professional career.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, is there ever a time where a student would be required to come to campus for anything?
No, not at this time. No.
Not particularly for the program. We do have a graduation ceremony. Whenever you complete the program, we invite you to attend our graduation ceremony just to congratulate that you did it, you complete the program, and just to share the joy with all your family members. Next question I have. Besides the required GPA and GRE or MAT score, what is needed to apply? And I believe that Dr. Harris has already answered this question. Aside from the GPA, GRE, or the MAT, students are required to submit statement of purpose, references, and students do not need to submit letter of recommendation. You will only need to submit names and contact information of your recommenders and upload it to our online supporting system. Next question I have. If a student has an undergrad GPA below the required 3.0, but acceptable GRE score and work experience, are they still eligible for admission? Dr.
Yeah, we will, if we feel like the student is capable, because we look at it holistically, we look at the the standardized test scores, which is the GRE or the Miller's analogy. We also look at your grade, and if your GPA is below a 3.0, we will closely look at the standardized scores as well as your statement of purpose. And if we have any other concerns, we will contact your references. We really try to go out our way to understand the whole story of the student, and we can offer students conditional admission with the requirement that they achieve a 3.0 or higher in their first semester.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question I have. Upon sending all required documents, how long is the expected turnaround for acceptance? I'm sorry?
If you have all your required documents in, meaning your test scores, you submitted your statement of purpose, and as well as your references, it takes about 3 weeks because it goes through 2 different processes. First, it goes to the graduate school, and the graduate school does a review of your application, and they make a decision whether or not you're accepted, and then it is then forwarded to the Department of Communication Studies, and our admissions committee looks at your documents, your required documents, and we make a decision. So it takes about, I would say, a good 3 weeks to once you've submitted all of your required documents, because it goes through the graduate school first, then it comes to the department.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And the second part of this question also include many grants / scholarships for the spring semester have deadlines rapidly approaching. So for students who are applying for this program, you can, while waiting for the admission decision, you can also apply for financial aid. You can contact our financial aid office, and they would be more than happy to assist you with the process. For any scholarships that require that you have to be admitted to the program, then you definitely need to wait until your admission decision has been made in order to apply. Other than that, you can always start with our financial aid office. Next question I have, how many units are required to graduate? Dr. Harris?
30 credit hours. Is that
Thank you.
I guess 30 credit hours.
Yes, that is correct. Yes. Next question I have, what score on the MAT is considered for the 50th percentile? And Dr. Harris has already answered this question. Do you want to add in anything else for this question? Yes. Next I have, what is the typical coursework? Proctor examination, or is it more focused on research paper and Blackboard discussion? Dr. Harris?
It is everything. I can't say anything is typical. It depends on the course. It depends on the approach of the faculty person. So you may, it's definitely a lot of writing involved because it's about analysis, making sure that you've demonstrated the knowledge. You can do this through projects because it is online. Discussion is heavily used, discussion board, discourse and activities. To actually, like in my group, I'm teaching the group leadership course. I actually have students. They do reflection papers. They do discussions. They analyze what's been read, and then at they're ending their last project, they're actually going to observe and analyze a group in a workplace setting. So it is a combination of all of those things. So I can't say anything is typical. It just depends on the course and the professor.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And just an add-in for this question, for any tests that require to be proctored, we do offer our online proctoring services. So you'll be able to complete your test while being proctored by through online. You also have an option to visit any public library or any 2 or 4 years institutions that offer proctoring services. We understand that our students work full-time, they're busy, so we'll try to make it as convenient as possible for our students. Next question I have, will the names I provide for references be called or will they be emailed a link to complete a reference online? I'd like to know what to tell them to expect. Dr. Harris?
Typically we call them.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next I have, should the recommendation of the completion should the recommendation of the class be accepted or approved, would the credit hours requirement change for the program?
I'm not understanding that question.
So what that means is that will the recommendation for the exam, what the test score requirement would change for the program, for the admission requirement?
For the standardized test?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there's not been any discussion about any changes regarding the standardized requirement, the test. The committee hasn't we haven't discussed anything related to that, so I don't see any change in the near future.
Thank you. Next question I have, would you all recommend taking the GRE over the MAT, the Miller Analogy Test?
I think that we think that the MAT for our students in terms of what we're looking for in terms of analyzing and verbal, I think the MAT may be a better match, but that will be totally up to the student. But we've kind of seen where students prefer the MAT over the GRE.
And I do apologize about the previous questions. What the student meant is that she was referring to the comp for class in places of projects. The questions I referred to is the yes.
Okay.
Should the recommendation of comps be accepted, approved? Would the credits hour requirement change?
Not sure at this present time. Not sure, but it is in discussion. So I don't see them doing more than what we have thus far, but I cannot comment on that right now while it is still in discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question I have, what is the maximum number of transfer hours?
We don't have a maximum number. We don't have a maximum number. To be honest, we have 50 students, and and there's probably one student that has been able to transfer some hours in for a research methods course that they took in another communication program. It's really kind of rare that request is given based upon the type of courses that we've taken and what students have taken in the past. So we don't have a specific required hour.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And again, feel free to type in your questions in the chat box. We will answer those questions as soon as you type in your questions in the chat box. Next question I have: can you transfer hours from a previous graduate degrees?
Yes, and that's what I was saying. There was a student that was in another communication program that took a research methods course, and we accepted that. So it has to be a course that is equivalent to what we offer in our program.
Next question I have: what is the typical class size? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our typical class size is 15 students. 15 to 17 students.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. The second part of the questions also include if there are only 50 students currently enrolled, are the online classes smaller?
Yeah, yeah, they're small as of now, but you know, like I said, this program is a little over a year old, so to have 50 students, that's a that's a pretty decent number for a new program, and we're continuing to grow. And we have some outstanding applicants as well. So I don't look at the classes size being larger than 15 to 17, but right now that's kind of how the size is looking. Now we do have some, like we're offering communication and diversity, and I think we have about 8 or 9 students in there. And that's probably one of our smallest courses at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have: are there any Bama by Distance meetings or presentation held on campus? If I understand this correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you are referring just to meetings or discussions just for distance learning students. We do have an online community Slack that all of our distance learning students would attend. This is just an online, similar to an online forum. If students have any questions about the programs or any questions about services for distant learning students, they can always post questions up there, and our representative would help them to answer those questions. But since this is an online program, this is a distant program, there are no on-campus attendance required. And also for the Master of Communication, it is entirely online program, so there's no on-campus attendance required also. Next question I have: would this program prepare you to teach communication at the community college level? Dr. Harris?
Well, that's hey, I can answer that a couple of different ways. The courses that are typically offered at the community college level are courses that you oftentimes see as in public speaking, interpersonal communication. I've seen some community colleges offer courses maybe in some type of communication and culture. Well, 18 hours is the typical required number of graduate credit hours that a community college is looking for. But also community colleges are looking for if you have experience in teaching, what type of courses that you've taken that will prepare you to teach something like a public speaking course. So this is not a skills-based program, and we don't teach that. We do teach and prepare students on campus for instructional communication in terms of to teaching public speaking. In a personal, you do take a couple classes in relational, and so depending on the person that is looking at your transcript, they may feel that that is adequate enough to teach a course at the community college level. But those are typically the two courses that I see that community colleges offer. And so in looking at that, it's kind of tricky. You got, because the person is going to look at not only do you have the 18 hours, but what is it in your background and on your transcript that will actually extrapolate to that you would be a good facilitator and a teacher in the classroom. So, so I think that you have to weigh that and look at it from that perspective.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question I have. I know you said it is recommended to take only 2 classes per semester. Are more ever being allowed? If so, would special permission be needed?
Special permission would not be needed. I have not seen where students want to take more, especially when they're working full time, and the type of coursework and analysis that is required. I've seen students scale back. I haven't seen students that felt like more than 2, that they could take more than 2. I advise all of the students. I think that we probably have 1 or 2 that probably have taken more than 2, but they were not working full time. And so it allowed them to be able to handle that level of coursework.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, is the flexibility in the order one would complete the coursework, or once admitted, are students automatically enroll in the order listed on the previous slide?
Well, we are, like I said, our program is very new, and one of the things that we just discussed in terms of and this will really be a working relationship between you and your advisor. And since I'm the primary advisor, I am definitely advising students that they take theory and research methods before they get to the professional project, or they take those within the first 2 semesters, the human communication theory and the research methods. If they take those earlier, because it does help in terms of how they understand and analyze and move through their other courses. Students are giving us feedback, and they're telling us that they wish they had particular courses before other courses. So now we're considering that in our advising, but that is a thing that you work out between the advisor and the student. We do not have any specific guidelines or requirements in our program at this time. And that's a lot because it is very new. And we're looking at each one of our students, and we're assessing what is needed and what isn't needed in terms of our course offerings, and we're being very careful in examining that and making sure that our students have course offerings that they can take each semester.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, how do we handle advising?
Well, once you're accepted, you'll be given my information. And what I try to do is I try to have, I call them connection meetings, where I will talk with students once a month about issues that they may be having or any changes in the program, or I'll do a session on the capstone portfolio and what is required. And then within that session, I'll talk about the upcoming courses that students are going to be offering. And that sometimes that gives students the opportunity to ask me questions. Other avenues for that is just one-on-one counseling with me. A student will email me and say, when are you available? I'll give them a couple of days and times, and they call and we talk about where they're moving, how they're moving and progressing forward in completion of the program. So it is done on a one-on-one basis with the program advisor.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question we have, since this is an online program, once the student graduated, will they have the same alumni benefits as on campus? And yes, even though this is an online program and you are a distant learner, you still are a UA, University of Alabama students, and once you graduate, you will have the same benefits as the on-campus students. Next question we have, is it ever possible that a student wouldn't get into a class? Dr. Harris?
Not at this time. Not at this time. But is it ever possible if the class is not offered or if right now I don't, in terms of how we are scheduling and offering courses throughout the entire year. If a student can't get into that course, they will most likely be able to get into that course the next semester. So, but that has not been an issue for us at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And feel free to type in your questions. Dr. Harris will help me answer those questions. We're just going to wait for a couple more minutes to see if there are any other questions that students have, and then before we will conclude the presentation.
These have been great questions. Very good questions.
Next question I have, what career fields do graduates of this program normally venture in?
Wow, now that is a difficult question. I know oftentimes people are looking for specific career tracks, and because communication is interdisciplinary, like I said, our students come from all backgrounds. The great thing about our program is that the knowledge and skills and competencies that we focus on and teach can be used in all fields. Whether if you're doing military services, if you're going in hospitality, we have people that are in engineering fields where they work in management roles, or they are working in situations where they are responsible for corporate changes. So what we are teaching here is not to work in one particular field, but we are preparing students with the knowledge and the skills and the ability to use the information to improve organizations. So there's just not like one particular field that we're preparing students to go in. Students can go in any particular field and use these skills.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question I have. So I made 398 on the Miller analogy test. Would that make the cut if my GPA was over 3.0?
The committee will look at your package holistically and make a decision whether or not they think that this candidate or applicant would be good for the program. There's also the option of conditional acceptance. So it would be totally up to the committee.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Next question I have. So who determines if an applicant's statement purpose is acceptable, or how much weight does the statement hold?
We have a committee of graduate faculty. We meet and we discuss students' applications, and so it is done collectively.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And
the statement of purpose is very important because it allows us to understand what your goals are, what you're seeking, if this is a good program for you, So we're able to understand if we're able to offer you what you're looking for, because if we're not, I call, there's sometimes if it's not clear, I'll call an applicant and say, can you tell me, you know, exactly what are you looking for? What are you seeking here? And sometimes they'll say, oh, I didn't know that. I thought I was getting a skills-based program, or I was not really, and typically the students that don't have a communication background, they'll say, well, I thought communication was this. I had no idea. I didn't know it was going to be heavy theoretical and it was going to be academically rigorous. So in those situations, we can clearly see that in an applicant statement of purpose in terms of what they understand about our program, what they understand about communication, and how they plan to apply it.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. And I can see that we don't have any more questions, so that would conclude our presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining our today's session. And thank you, Dr. Harris, for joining us and help me answer all the students' questions. Those were amazing questions. They were really good questions.
Thank you, and thank you for your interest, and Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.